YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. After Sunday's action in Week 13, I'm here to give you my takeaways like we do every single Monday. We have in-season weekly content, so join us for all that for NFL and college football. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on me. Much appreciated. Follow our Twitter. There's a lot going on in that Twitter, keeping you guys involved. Live talk during games. Link down below. Check it out. Let's get on these games. Buccaneers, Falcons. Buccaneers 130-17, about right around where we expected. Really the difference in this one was the protecting the quarterback here. Tom Brady got a great offensive line. And Tom Brady himself is very good, obviously, but he's got a great offensive line, has all day to throw. He's got the weapons, and then the Falcons, Matt Ryan threw the ball pretty well. They got Russell Gage going. Their running backs got going, actually against a stout run defense, which was impressive. But the difference was, when the Buccaneers defense got after Matt Ryan, and that really created this difference here because they had somewhat just as much offense production as the Buccaneers, but the Buccaneers continue to get pressure on Matt Ryan to not allow them to continue to extend drives, make plays. So that was really the difference here in this one. The game actually could have been, it's a weird game because right before the end of the first half, the Buccaneers threw a screen pass and Brady kind of just threw it right, which was surprising to see. Threw right to Marlon Davidson, big man, got the catch. Read the play, got the catch, made the touchdown. So that was an impressive play by a big defensive lineman and Marlon Davidson. But so they score there, and you look at the score, 30-17. You see kind of the production, and the Falcons did end up moving the ball down the field at the end of the game as well. So I guess some production came from there. But I think that the game didn't really have to be this bad. It didn't have to be. It could have been a lot closer. But then you remember that the Falcons actually scored one of their touchdowns on defense. It's like, what the hell is happening here? So the Falcons were able to kind of. They weren't really going 3 and out, able to kind of make plays, but they couldn't really finish drives off, obviously. And I think that's credit to the Buccaneers getting pressure. But, lights out game from Tom Brady, that offensive line. Godwin was getting going. Fournette's been playing really well recently. But, again, the one positive thing of the Falcons was, they had Russell Gage was productive, but mainly I'm looking at the running game. Cordero Patterson, another great day running. Mike Davis, weird because against the Buccaneers' stout run defense. So, it's a tough one. They got to find ways to get the ball in the end zone a little better. They'll play the Panthers this week. It's a must-win game. Moving on to the next game, Cardinals-Bears, 33-22. The story of this game was just the Cardinals' defense making plays. They get 4 interceptions on Andy Dalton, one almost right off the bat, and they go score off of it. All their points were off those interceptions except for one touchdown. So it really just shows that the Cardinals' defense played out of their minds. They really set that offense up. And they executed. The offense went and executed, got the ball in the end zone for the most part. James Conner had a nice one-handed catch that went for a touchdown. He's been so good. Kind of just used to be known as just a solid inside runner, physical inside runner. Question is, can he stay healthy? And then kind of recently, before this year, it was kind of like he's a decent physical runner. And then he goes to the Cardinals, and he looks like a total package type of guy. He looks, lights out. So, that's been a fantastic pickup and a surprisingly great fit there with the Arizona Cardinals. So Kyler Murray was using his legs. Saw Hopkins early, scored that touchdown. That was 4th down, too. I like that. 4th down, you gamble, you take the shot, you do the unpredictable, you do the unexpected, make that big play. But defense was feasting. The Bears were able to, move the ball decent for the Bears going against the Cardinals defense, but then the Cardinals just kept making plays, big plays. So not the best day from Andy Dalton. It's one of those games where you had Justin Fields. They'd probably been better off. Not that they would have won or anything with Justin Fields, but and there's some games where maybe you could say they're better off with Andy Dalton, but this is one of the games where you kind of need, if you're going to have turnovers, you'd rather have that big playability, But again, this is kind of what the Cardinals needed. Get the cold game under their belt. They go into Chicago. It's pretty cold outside, pretty windy, and they have a big-time defensive game, and the offense – we didn't really get to see a whole lot of the offense kind of working the field because the defense was kind of setting them up, but it's a good game to kind of knock the rust off because they were just on a bye, but mainly because Murray and Hopkins were just out for a bit. So they go into the Rams. They stay home to play the Rams Monday Night Football, which is a huge one. So can't wait for that game next Monday night. Next game, we got the Chargers and the Bengals. Wild game here. Chargers just dominate from the start. Yeah, the start of this game was everything. And I've been saying that for every game. The start is pretty much everything. Chargers take the opening kickoff pretty far. They go and score on 4th down. The Bengals stop them right there. We might have a whole different game here. So they clutch up, score on 4th down. And they continue to increase their lead. Burrow with the strip sack early on. Chargers continue to increase their lead. And then there's just a big turnaround there, and the Bengals are, marching back, coming back. Joe Mixon starting to pick it up. Just everything going smooth. The Bengals creating some turnovers. Awuzie with the big-time pick. Defense is locking things down. Chargers can't hit that big play anymore because that's kind of what the Chargers are right now. And we wonder why they're so inconsistent. In one week, they might look like the best team in football. In one week, they're pretty bad. Just so inconsistent, can beat anybody but can lose anybody. And that makes sense, I guess, a little bit. It's kind of a playmaking team. It's a big play team. That they do. It's kind of a good thing and a bad thing because they can hit that big play better than anyone. They can hit that dagger better than anyone. Both sides of the ball, really. They create some wild turnovers on defense, but mainly offense. But then they kind of rely on that big play. And then we kind of saw that here because they were hitting those big plays. They were clutching up on 4th down. They had the kick return to start the game. They had a strip sack to pretty much start the game. And then it kind of everything going south. They can't really stop mixing. Then the Bengals kind of in that pickle where do we run the ball because we can, but we're down by so much. It's going to run clock, but it's effective and they're coming back. I really thought the Bengals were going to come back and win and actually win this game. If you didn't watch this game, you might be looking at the score and be like, "Really?" But yes, really, and I don't know for sure or anything, but it really felt like the Bengals were going to come back in this game. The Chargers couldn't get much going. The big play wasn't working. The Bengals were getting the big play. Joe Mixon was feasting. Then Joe Mixon drops the ball, and then Campbell picks it up, runs it for a touchdown. That's the game right there. That's just the biggest. And the Chargers were winning at that time still by 2, so. That really changed things around. So it is a big win for the Chargers. They put up 41 points on a pretty good team. They made plays all over the field. They clutched up, showed some promise. It's all great. You do have to worry a little bit, though, on, why do they have to rely on that big home run, Herbert, to kind of escape all this pressure, make a ridiculous play, and kind of go against what the original play call was because maybe it wasn't that good or, why do we have to rely on this? And why are we going to let teams come back? This is kind of a playoff atmosphere type of game. Like these teams looking like very much could be playoff team. A lot of teams are in the AFC, so they did win, so you got to be happy about that. But some things make you wonder a little bit. But you do understand the game like this and why they're kind of back and forth and inconsistent. Sometimes that big play just kind of gets taken away, gets shut down. And they do rely on that a little bit. And there's still time. It's late in the year, but there's always still time. You can definitely open things up, try to figure things out, kind of get things going more outside of the big play. Not playing. They're not really playing for 4th down. It doesn't really feel like they're trying to play. There's a lot of teams that really play for 3rd down, things like that. Chargers don't really play for 4th down, but it feels like that because it happens a lot, Let's convert the first to the second, on second, whatever it may be. So that's a big win for them, though. The Bengals slip up there after they're a little hot. It's not one I'm really worrying about all that much for the Bengals. It's just kind of I don't want to say fluky game because they do have that turnover potential. But it did go south hard from the start. 2 of their starting offensive linemen out right before the game starts. And they let that kickoff go. They get a strip sack. They dig themselves a hole. Mixon just dropping the ball. So I don't expect those things to really happen a lot. But, if they go play good teams like this in the playoffs, they can't. They got to stay consistent. They can't let it happen. Vikings and the Lions. The Lions get their first win here. Dan Campbell tried to blow the game, and then Mike Zimmer kind of did blow the game there. That's what happened. Lions got off to a good start. The Vikings actually got off to a good start. You wouldn't really notice it because they were kicking field goals. Instead of scoring touchdowns, they had 6 points right away. You got to at least get 1 touchdown there, but credit to the Lions defense. But then the Lions were getting going in the passing game mainly and got a pretty good lead there. And the Vikings defense struggling. But then you kind of had the feeling the Vikings probably come back. They do. They come back. At one point, they decide to go for a 2-point conversion while they're within that comeback, which really made no sense. at the time, and it didn't make any sense, at the end of the game. So they went for that 2 and didn't get it. And the next time around, they went for 2 again because they had to, because they went last time. If they would have kicked the extra point the first time, they could have just kicked the extra point and maybe tied the game the second time. They kept going for 2. They did it the third time as well. They ended up losing by 2 points. There was 3 missed opportunities of missed extra points. And the Lions would have kicked an extra point at that last touchdown. They didn't do. They were supposed to. So really what I'm getting to, if the Vikings would have kicked extra points, the game probably would have went to overtime. They could have missed an extra point. It's very possible. Greg Joseph has missed some. But my point is just poor coaching. They had some poor decisions last week against the Niners with going for 2 as well. So just very poor coaching, decision-making there. But the Vikings are fighting back. Madison's playing well. Kirk Cousins is heating up. Justin Jefferson's heating up. And the Lions have an opportunity. They get a good defensive stop. They have an opportunity to put the game away with a couple first downs. They don't get that, though. They have 4th and, I believe it was 2, actually. 4th and 2 from their own 30. You punt that ball away. You have to punt the ball away because if you don't, the Vikings get the ball right there. They, at worst case, have a field goal. They're already in field goal range. They can run the clock. But they decided to go for it, and they dropped Goff back, and it was a good defensive call there, actually, from the Vikings, where they brought the blitz, and they were pretty tight in coverage. And it's really not in Goff. It ends up being a strip sack. It's not really Goff's fault. He shouldn't really fumble, but you can't go for that. You just can't. So that was just another Dan Campbell decision to put them in a situation to lose. The Vikings go and score, and the Lions have a kind of a game-winning drive set up here, but they don't have any timeouts left. The Vikings were just playing, prevent, deep, allowing everything underneath. They brought the blitz once. I thought it was pretty successful because Harrison Smith hit Jared Goff, and Rashad Breeland dropped an interception, which was not the easiest one because I think the receiver hit him, but you could say it was a successful blitz. It kind of worked. And I understand you really shouldn't blitz on those last maybe 2 plays. Because you're right on the goal line, just make sure you have everyone covered up, but then they didn't have anybody covered up. I also don't agree with only rushing 3. But yeah, they sent that blitz, and they had a 3rd and 6 at one point, and if that would have been a good time to do it. Kind of just gave up a free first down underneath. You're basically, the game plan is we can give up everything else, but at the end zone, just cover the end zone. And they get one more play, and they give up the end zone too. They're playing too far back. I think it was like a zone coverage where everyone had their own lane. Got 8 guys out there covering, only rushing 3, and they still give it up. They're covering too far back. You call a timeout right before that. It just goes on to coaching. I guess you can argue what type of coverage they should have been in, but you set that up. It was so bad that it looked like they let them score on purpose. That's how bad it was. It was an absolute free touchdown there, and it was a good thing Goff saw it. Credit to him there. You worked the field there. I'm pretty sure there's 31 other teams would have, or 30, I should say, 30 other teams wouldn't allow the Lions to score there. I really do. So the Vikings, that's just kind of the Vikings this year. They're allowing game-winning drives. They haven't stopped the team on a game-winning drive yet. They've got game-winning drives themselves. They haven't stopped anybody yet, and that goes for the end of the first half as well. So Mike Zimmer, defensive background. The excuse will be they're pretty damn depleted on defense, and that's true. A lot of teams are. But I don't think it's much of an excuse. If you're the only team that can allow that, you're the only team that's losing the Lions. When they try to give you the game as well with that bonehead decision to go for it on 4th down. So it's a bad loss for the Vikings. They got to turn around and go play the Steelers on Thursday Night Football without Adam Thielen and the other guys they're missing there, and it's not good. It's just not good. It's just really poor coaching. Time to move on from Mike Zimmer. It's pretty obvious here. He deserves to get fired now, but they're not going to do that. Short week, go to play on Thursday night, and then who's going to take over if he's fired? Because the offensive play calling isn't good either. So is Kubiak going to take over? So is he deserving of that job? So it's not good for the Vikings. They're now in a top 10 pick range there. They're the 10th pick at the moment. So as a fan, I'm at that point where I kind of just hope they keep losing to get a good pick and fire the staff. Yeah, take the loss for this year. That's pretty much what it's got to be. Maybe Lions get some momentum. Maybe they can start pulling off some of these games. Maybe they can start pulling off some of these games they should have won, but we'll see. It's got to feel good to get your good win if you're the players, see how excited they are right after the game. So it's good for the Lions there to pull that one off. They were winning most of the games, so It's something they should do, but I guess given the circumstances at the end, you could definitely say the Vikings should have won the game, but they blew it. They absolutely blew it there. Giants, Dolphins. Yeah, this game was real quiet for the most part early on. Defense we expected, though. Defensive game. Glennon threw the ball like 44 times and just couldn't do much. 180 or so yards passing. You throw the ball that many times, it's just Dolphins defense. You get the ball thrown at you that many times. The Giants should have ran the ball more. Something I'm thinking about now. Let's see how many times they ran the ball here. Barkley really wasn't going. He had a bad drop where he kind of like swatted the ball while he was trying to catch it. I didn't know what that was. He had 11 for 55. Probably should get more carries. I know they were playing from behind, but it finished 20-9. But it really wasn't like that the whole time. So they probably should have ran the ball more. You got Glennon in. You're having him throw that many times. So it's a little questionable. Defense, I thought, did enough to win the game. The Dolphins defense outplayed the Giants defense, but I think it was given who the offenses were on the other side. Xavier Howard continues to be that big-time playmaker that he is. Jalen Phillips got, he get 3 sacks last week, got 2 this week, so I'm really excited about him because he was one of my top players in the draft, and he's a stud. He's an absolute stud. He gets after the quarterback. Kind of a sneaky 8.5 sacks on the year because no one's really talking about him, but he did get 5 the last 2 weeks here. Big game for the defense. Usually the Dolphins, when they were losing earlier in the year, they would start with the score, actually. They were probably one of the best teams off the script. Actually, one of the better teams. And they would go score, and then it would just go downhill from them. They couldn't do anything. In a game like this, the offense started a little cold, so, you wish they would start a little better, But I think they played great down the stretch to kind of put the game away. I thought Tua was throwing some really good balls that were difficult balls. There was, on the same drive, actually, there was one of Devontae Parker, which it might have been a better catch than throw, Devontae Parker, and they're both great, I thought. But Parker, that was a ridiculous catch for him, but that was a smart back shoulder throw by Tua, and pretty good placement as well. Then he threw one kind of in traffic over the top of defender to Mike Gesicki, and this is just clutch plays right there. So I thought Tua he's been playing extremely well, a lot better recently. And I thought to kind of close this one off, he played well. Wish they would have got going a little more earlier. Waddle's been very consistent, so you see that connection starting to grow. Kind of makes sense, as the season goes on with the rookie and guys that were both at Alabama as well. But yeah, Dolphins continue to roll. Bye week this week. Do they want the bye week? You kind of wish they can just keep rolling right now. Defense is playing out of their minds. Giants. Jason Garrett gone. They don't run the ball enough in this one, though. I mean, they had Mike Glennon, but it's Daniel Jones. He's definitely better than Mike Glennon, but is it that much of a difference? A little bit, but feel bad for the Giants defense there. Eagles and Jets, Minshew mania. There was no doubts for me that the Eagles were still going to win this game pretty comfortably. It was interesting early. The Eagles defense couldn't stop. Some people were probably thinking, it's the Eagles' backup quarterback in. They might not win by as much, or they might lose because they have their backup quarterback in. They won't have as much offense. But I didn't think that was the case. I thought they'd be just fine. And you actually throw defenses off with Gardner Minshew coming in, because the game plan's really not for that. The defense surprisingly was, it felt like it was going to be close. It was close. The Jets were winning for a little bit. It felt like it could end up being a closer game, and people probably would have went, it's because, if it did end up there, it was because their backup quarterback was in. Well, no, they had plenty of offense the whole time. The defense looked pretty bad. There was missed assignments against the Jets too. Zach Wilson was playing very well early. Elijah Moore getting going. But then the Eagles defense kind of figured it out there, and the Jets just went completely cold. It looked like it was going to be a shootout, and they kind of got stuck around that 18 range there. And the Eagles kept rolling. Minshew was firing right out the gate there. That's the key. Finding open receivers and making the right throw. Some of those, the guy was wide open. A lot of those guys were wide open, and maybe even he underthrew them a little bit. They had to come back to the football a little bit. Definitely not the end of the world. It's not my point. And they still scored on it, But the point here is Minshew made the correct read, found the open receiver, hit the throw. If it was slightly underthrown, who gives a shit? You wish you get, perfect world, lead the guy, make it more accurate. But that's kind of the situation there. And Hurts, that might be Hurts' problem. Hurts has got that incredible running ability. Minshew can scramble, and he's a sneaky athletic. Hurts got that incredible running ability. He has that big play potential, even in the passing game. He's got that strong arm. It's not always that accurate, but he's got the strong arm, has a throw on the run ability. But does he make the correct reads? Does he find the open receiver? He misses. He doesn't see him sometimes. Sometimes he makes the wide open throw or the layup throw, underneath throw. He makes it a little more challenging than it needs to be. It doesn't hit it. And that's kind of the difference between the two. I'm not saying which one's better than the other. I'm saying at any given time that either could be better, So that was the difference between Minshew and Hurts. Minshew, his eyes, that's what it was. His eyes, and not really ball carrier's vision. Not talking about that because Hurts has got that, but just being smart. Having the field vision there from the pocket and outside the pocket there, guarding Minshew. So he had a big game. All over Twitter, you see that moment with his dad after the game. I thought that was pretty cool. So Minshew has a big game there, and a lot of offense for the Eagles there. So it's good to see. I did predict them to score 31 points, but it's good to kind of see them even with another quarterback going there and score 33. So they're trying to stay in that playoff hunt there. Washington's heating up though. Colts win 31-0. I don't have much on this one. Another big game for Jonathan Taylor. It was a back-to-back game. Ashton Doolin got a touchdown. These are my takeaways here from this game, that there shouldn't really be a bunch of takeaways. They held the Texans to 0 points. That's big time. Kenny Moore was the first play of the game, non-special teams play of the game. Kenny Moore had a real nice interception. Kenny Moore is extremely underrated. Very good at either outside corner or slot corner. So that was a big-time play. Colts defense clutches up, make plays. Texans were fairly well, I say, stopping a run early in this game, but Colts kind of adjusting. I think it's because they were stacking a box. It's a dominant win for the Colts. And if you remember during the score predictions, I was shocked that the Colts were only favored by 9. I thought that was for sure a double-digit one, so that was surprising. So that was kind of just free cheese. Colts -9 on that one. I like the Colts. I like the way they're playing. I know it's the Texans. I said it last week against the Bucs. They blew the game. They had too many turnovers. They lost the game. I liked what I saw for the most part, though. They outplayed the Bucs for the first half of football. It's a promising team here. They just got to close out those games like that one. The Ravens, which I'm kind of forgetting about anyways because that was earlier in the year. Colts are playing much better ball right now. It's crazy that the Colts are in the 10th team in the AFC right now. They feel like a top 7, which is a playoff team. So it's just get in. That's all it is with the AFC right now. There's like a load of teams within 2 games of each other. It's just get in. That's just how I explain the Colts right now. I think they can put up a fight. I think they can go to. I think any team that makes playoffs in the AFC can go to the Super Bowl. I think the Colts are definitely capable. I'm not a huge Carson Wentz guy. He's played a lot better. Some of these sideline throws that are difficult to make, he's looked really, really good on. But even with I think they can go. I think they can make the Super Bowl out of the AFC. I think there's a number of teams that can, but it's just get in. They got to find a way to get in. The Colts usually take care of business against these teams. Texans, who they play, so I'm not really worried. And they do got a couple more tough ones coming up. They do, yeah. So it's a tough schedule, but he's got to find a way to get in because they're a good team here. Next up, Washington and the Raiders. Wild game. Not a lot of action for the most part of the game. Washington continues to roll. They are on a streak. The tough thing about Washington is, I guess when picking them and thinking to pick them maybe. Because they're a lot better right now, though. They are a lot better. They're playing a lot better on defense. It kind of makes me angry a little bit that they're a lot better on defense without Chase Young because it just can't be, it just can't be. But they are right now. I don't think it's because Chase Young's out of there, but it's definitely not because a great player's out of there, even though he was underwhelming this year. But it just kind of hurts my head a little bit, now without Chase Young, so it's a little head scratching, but. They're playing great defense. They're clutch on offense. There wasn't a whole lot of offense in this game, but they managed time of possession like they've been doing. They've been dominating that. It's kind of them and the 49ers who've been dominating since Washington's been on the streak. Again, clutch, winning games. But, why it's kind of tough because they're on this streak, and you want to believe in the team's on the streak, but every single one of these games, they've outplayed their opponent. I'd say by a pretty good amount in most of these games. I mean, last week by a lot, I thought, but they outplayed their opponent in all of these games. They kind of let the other team stick around and have a shot, though. That's kind of my problem at Washington. They're on a streak. They're a lot better. They can go come back and beat. They got the Cowboys next. They can make the playoffs. They're on track to do that right now. It's not going to be easy. It's a great team. It's all positivity. But just talking from, it's a question: will they keep this up? Because they are outplaying in the talent. For sure, they should be able to, because they are outplaying all these. They outplayed the Raiders. Raiders did not score until late in the game, their first touchdown. Washington outplayed. They deserved to win. They outplayed the Raiders. But, as Washington deserved to win, the Raiders probably should have won this game. If Trevon Merrick caught a free interception, who he did at TCU, he's a playmaker, game's over. Raiders win. So it was kind of just on that. But it shouldn't come down to that. Washington outplayed them. They didn't let them score for so long. Same thing last week against Seattle. They dominated the Seahawks. It wasn't even close if you watched the game, but the score was close. The Seattle Seahawks went and had a shot at the end of the game. They went and scored, and then it was just on a 2-point conversion. The Panthers game, the Panthers were god-awful in that game, but they kind of let them stick around. They kind of kept getting extra chances. They just couldn't do anything. So that's what I want Washington to do. I want them to put teams away like they should, because they're playing, kind of reminds me of like the Vikings a little bit and the Falcons, but they're just a much better version, because those teams kind of just let teams stick around when they don't have no business sticking around, and those teams kind of lose those games. Washington's kind of letting them stick around when they have no business sticking around, but they're clutching to win those games. So that's great for them. I just don't want them. I hate to see when teams. I'm a neutral. I'm a Vikings fan, so I'm rooting for the Vikings. Not anymore. I'm not. I kind of want them to lose the rest of their games. But my point is, I'm neutral when watching games. All these other games, I'm neutral. But if I see a team just completely outplay the other team and they're the more deserving team to win, I hate when I see that team lose. I kind of don't like it. So I need Washington to kind of put these teams away and not let it come down to that last drive, kicking a field goal, hoping a guy drops an interception. So that's the thing, because when they go play. And we'll see with the Cowboys game. But if they go play a big team, maybe like the Cowboys, they're not playing like a big team recently, but those teams won't sit around and let you hang on to that win. They'll come take it from you if you're going to let them take it. So that's my thing with them. The Raiders, just not enough. I see, maybe there was some questionable calls in this game. That's just no. I see a lot of that on Twitter. You got to go score. You got to go score touchdowns to win the game. So I don't want to hear any of that. Raiders couldn't score. They're inconsistent. They got field goals. They got some points there at least. It's just, they probably should. Again, were they deserving to win this game? I don't think so. I thought Washington outplayed them, but they should have won the game. Marek dropped that interception. He should catch that. But, you can't put it on him either, because the offense, back to it, they have to score touchdowns. You have to go score. I know Washington's defense is pretty good now, but they've shown weaknesses during the year. You can go score on them. The Raiders can't just go look like a elite offense one week and then not so much the next week. So it was just typical second half of the year Raiders stuff. I'm not a fan, but it frustrates me. And like I'm a fan here. So, Washington continues to go on a streak. Raiders, the AFC's a lot of teams fighting to get in, but it's anybody can get in still because they're all so tight, but there's so many teams that are going to get in. There's going to be teams that probably miss that are deserving. So it's kind of tough for some of these teams that can't stay consistent to get in. So we'll see. Jaguars, Rams just dominate them. I'm just really confused on why the Jaguars have zero offense. We know why. Play calling and play designs are pretty terrible. Lawrence isn't playing that great. Receivers can't get separation. Again, we got to start to create something out of nothing here, though. Enough's enough. But they're supposed to be more of an offensive team, and they're just not. So it's a little frustrating with them, even though the season's kind of over anyways. Rams, that's a good kind of momentum booster type game. They were rolling from the start. They were going offensively, kind of got everyone involved. The OBJ got a touchdown, self-revived after. Defensively, they were making plays for sure, setting their offense up there. Sony, we went out to Darrell Henderson, even though he was active, but Sony Michel was tearing it up there. The Jaguars have been playing pretty decent defense, so it's not like, yeah, our offense finally got going, but hey, we played the Jags. I don't really look at it like that. Well, the Jags offense kind of gave the Rams a lot of chances. You're going to get this many chances, you should score. But, yeah, I like how they got going. They started going. They kind of just running a basic offense, just straight drop back and just gun it downfield or just run. It's you kind of just pressure the interior, right up that way because you're going to stop the run doing that, and you're going to get after the quarterback in a straight drop back when he's trying to sit in the pocket because he's not a scrambling guy. You're throwing downfield. So it was kind of like an explosive but basic offense at the same time, and I didn't think it was too hard to game plan for, but not everybody. You have to have the talent to be able to game plan. You can game plan no matter what the talent is, but you have to have the talent for it to work. That's why those good teams were kind of, they had the game plan. We know what they're going to do. We got to get that interior pressure. We got to play pretty soft in coverage against these guys, keep everything in front. So the good teams with the talent were able to do that. So that's still the question of can they handle the bigger teams, the good teams, but in this game, they kind of open it up a little more. They go more towards the play action to kind of throw teams off a little bit. And that works. It's just kind of odd that they use it for the Jaguars. And when the game was kind of already over, it felt like too. So, but at the same time, it kind of head scratcher. Why are we saving that for the Jaguars? If we were saving it, let's save it for the playoffs when we really throw teams off in that because it's all about game plan and playoffs. Or the Cardinals next Monday night. So it's a little bit of a head scratcher, but it could be a good thing because the Cardinals are going to sit down and watch this film. And they're going to remember when they beat them last time. They had the perfect game plan for them. The Cardinals gave them all sorts of problems on both sides of the ball. And let's repeat that. But if they sit down and watch the film here of this game, what you'll see is some play action, obviously, and just a little bit of different concepts. Do we have to think about Michelle a little more? I don't know. But so maybe it makes the Cardinals think, and then the Rams don't throw that at them. They go their regular game plan. So they could be trying to get in the Cardinals' heads. That could be it on why they kind of throw that out there against the Jags. But when the Rams make the playoffs, they should make the playoffs. I really hope they really mix it up with those play calls. Use everything because it's all about the game plan. If guys are game planning for your normal stuff, then and you only run that, you might be in trouble. If you mix it up and they're game planning for your normal stuff, you're going to beat them. It's all about the game plan in the playoffs. So that was a good win for the Rams. Got a big one Monday night against the Cardinals. Ravens, Steelers, wild game. Not so much of a wild game early on. It's just really dead. Really nothing going on. Just defensive play here, back and forth. Watt getting pressure like crazy. Lamar still, he's kind of just missing throws still. Interception early. But the Ravens have a lead for most of this game, which is staying close. And then Deontay Johnson had a big game. He had the 2 touchdowns. He ended up having a really big game, but he dropped a free touchdown at one point. So if he would have caught that one, probably would have had 3 touchdowns. Steelers probably would have won somewhat comfortably, not big or anything, but it probably wouldn't have came down to this, maybe. But still at the end of the day, big game for Johnson. I thought Big Ben, even though they weren't scoring a lot in this game, I thought he made some good throws. I thought he was playing pretty well. Yeah, and a missed extra point, which is a very bad missed extra point, felt like was it a cost Steelers at one point. But it really just comes down to the end, kind of what everyone's talking about. Lamar and the Ravens go drive the field. Well, really the kickoff out of bounds really set that up, so that was not good. That cannot happen. But the Ravens go march down and score, and they go for 2, and then Harbaugh kind of getting ripped for going for 2, but I don't really mind going for 2 at all. And it turned out it was because Marlon Humphrey was out. And that they didn't really want to. It goes like a coin flip. You might be able to get offense first and win the game, but you don't know that. But if you even take away the Marlon Humphrey thing, I don't really mind it. You just work the field, no problem. You got momentum now. Go just win the game right now. It's enough dealing with these rivals. Enough dealing with them. They Steelers played a lot better in the second half too than the Ravens did. So let's not even give them a shot. Let's just go end it right now. I don't mind that at all. And then you look at the play call. That was a beautiful play call. I thought Andrews was open, obviously, and Lamar kind of just panicked a little bit. And T.J. Watt was getting after him, and they kind of just missed the throw. When I saw that live, it felt like it was in slow-mo for me, and I really thought Mark Andrews was going to catch that one hand, tip it back to himself one hand. It kind of shows how good Mark Andrews is that I almost expect him to do that. You definitely can't put it on him that he didn't catch that. But I almost expect Mark Andrews to make that play. But it shows how good he is, honestly. That's kind of what that shows. So that's a tough one for the Ravens. And now they don't have Marlon Humphrey. And now they go to Cleveland and play the Browns. And they just played them last week. I mean, that's stupid scheduling. Browns get an advantage in that one, I think. They just played them. They know they're playing them again off the bye week. They get a rest. Ravens had to deal with the Steelers that deal with that whole thing. Marlon Humphrey gets hurt. So the Browns get an advantage on that one. It doesn't mean they're going to win. It means it's, I think they should win. I'm not saying that's my prediction, but I'm thinking, with that, being able to game plan and rest like that, it's really no excuses for you. So we'll see what happens in that game. I think it's weird scheduling there. 49ers and Seahawks. Did not see the Seahawks scoring 30 points in this game. I just didn't see it coming. It's kind of 49ers are so hot. People are talking about they're back. I'm thinking, they might be back, and then you give up 30 points to the Seahawks. You're very sloppy in this game. So, let's pump the brakes a little bit on the 49ers. One thing is, again, maybe some fluky things in this game. I know there are a couple guys out, big-time players, including Deebo Samuel as well, but a lot of guys are missing a lot more. But in a fluky game, I don't know, some parts of it fluky, not all of those turnovers. Well, I thought Gerald Everett turning the ball over 3 times and 2 on the goal line, I thought those were more fluky. But back to the 49ers, I don't expect those turnovers to happen. They had a kickoff fumble. They allowed a giant play on a fake punt early in the game. I don't expect those things to happen every game, so I don't think they'll be giving up 30 points every game, but it is Seattle. You have 30 Seattle, and, I just don't know. Can I trust the 49ers to stay consistent here? Can I still trust them to stay healthy? It's just not a good game here and for them. And, a lot of the talk was that pass interference at the end of the game on Sidney Jones. It was 3rd down. It's a lot of the talk. I got 2 things here. Number one, I think no question I thought that was pass interference. I thought it was a missed call. He grabbed him, held his arm down. No question. Number 2, 49ers would have had a shot to tie the game then. They would have had the ball at the 1-yard line. It would have been 4th down, which the next play that was incomplete, whatever. But number 2, I thought Seattle outplayed the 49ers in this game. I thought they outplayed them. I thought Seattle Seahawks deserved to win this game, but I do think that was pass interference. But so you got to get to both sides. I thought Seattle deserved to win. They should have put the game away at the goal line before that. Gerald Everett had a game from hell, as I like to put it. The guy fumbles early in the game. When they were kind of getting going. And then at the goal line, he gets thrown the ball wide open right in his hands. It kind of looked like he was starting to turn upfield. You're in the end zone, though. I know he's right on the goal line, but still. And he dropped it, and he realized he dropped it, so he tried to get it back to himself. So he hit it, falls right in 49ers' hands, interception. And then at the end of the game, and then the Seahawks, it kind of felt like they would have made the game out of hand at that point. It was still early. But then end of the game, they're up 7. They go score a touchdown here. It's over. Game's over. And then I think a bad decision to get the ball to Everett, especially kind of in the backfield. They do one of those shuffle passes. And he gets the ball. It's not like he fumbled the exchange, I don't think, and then he was kind of carrying it, and then he fumbled, and the 49ers get the ball. So it's just a nightmare game for him. He's got to be thanking his teammates for holding on here in this one. And the 49ers almost go pull it off. 3 turnovers each for these teams. It's just a sloppy game overall. I was surprised there was this much scoring because of that. I was surprised there was this much scoring in general because the 49ers have been, why have they been so dominant lately? It's because they've been pounding the football, wearing teams out, and dominating the time of possession. Seahawks have been getting killed in the time of possession game. So, therefore, you would think in a game like this, 49ers would dominate the time of possession. Let me actually look at it. I'm curious about those numbers, but in a game like this, you would think 49ers dominate time of possession, meaning the clock drains, absolutely drains in this game. They run the football, it drains. And the Seahawks have been struggling to get first downs, let alone points. You would think this would have been a low-scoring game, so it was very surprising to me. Very surprising. The Seahawks won their time possession. Seahawks won 33 in 12 seconds versus 26-48. So the Seahawks most definitely outplayed 49ers. They deserve to win this game. 49ers lost time possession game to the Seattle Seahawks. Historically bad Seahawks this year. Historically bad in time possession. 49ers have been killing it in that category. 25 runs for the 49ers, 30 passes. it was kind of a big problem earlier in the year. Shanahan didn't feel like himself. It didn't really feel like they're running 49ers football with the play calls and some weird calls in certain situations. But that wasn't it. There was a lot of the players weren't executing. The defense didn't feel the same. That's kind of what it felt like early on, but it was kind of the total package all coming together. And then when they got rolling, we were saying they're back to playing 49ers football. They're pounding the football. They are pounding the shit out of the football. And I guess Deebo Samuel was out, and he's a big part of that, and that changes things. But I think overthinking too much. Definitely overthinking by Shanahan. It's just kind of back to how he was calling games earlier in the year, really. It's what it comes down to. I know they turned the ball over, and that's part of it. I know it, but you can't let the Seahawks score 30. You can't let them work the field against you. You can't let them beat you in the time of possession. You can't turn the ball over like that. You can't go back to the bad play calls, decision-making there. A lot of overthinking. So I'm not thrilled the more I'm talking about with the 49ers there. Seahawks got that win. Wild card spot is pretty open there. I know they got a lot of work to do. Maybe that's some momentum. Can they, all of a sudden they got offense. Will that continue? We'll wait and see. Sunday Night Football. Chiefs win 22-9. I was pounding the table that it was going to be a defensive game. I predicted 24-17. While I see a lot of people predicting shootouts or a shootout for just the Chiefs. They score a lot of points. I just wasn't seeing that. Both teams playing very good defense. The Chiefs, I was saying in our video, they start games scoring, but then kind of they go quiet a little bit. They haven't been too great on offense for the stretch of the full game. So this game kind of makes sense to me. The Broncos probably should score more points in this game. They should. The Broncos had a crazy long drive at one point and couldn't go score. Well-called drive. It has to be a well-called drive for you to hold the ball for that long and execute on these crucial plays. But they don't end up scoring. They go for it on fourth again. I don't mind going for it at all. 2 yards to go. I don't mind giving it to Javonte Williams because he's been breaking tackles and getting plenty of yards after contact. The guy's a beast, by the way. Just missed blocks and they don't get it. So, no problem with the play calling in this game. It's funny because and if you see the whole Broncos fan base all year, it's just blaming the play calling, blaming. It's really bad. Shermer's awful. It's bad. And it's been bad. It's not good. It's definitely not good. It's been bad. And there's games where it's been horrendous. But the two games that were on prime time for the whole world to see what they're talking about, the Browns and the Chiefs game, they didn't lose because of play calling in either of those games. Because I've watched all the Broncos games. They lost a lot of games probably because of play calling, but not those two games. They just couldn't execute as well as the other team, and that's just what it was. I'm not saying the play calling was perfect 100% of the time. It's never going to be for any team, but, they were able to, it's part of their game plan. Was going to go work the field, make Mahomes on the sideline. They were doing it, just couldn't execute. Bridgewater making poor decisions, especially against pressure, handling the blitz. You had to know the blitz was coming, Javonte Williams tearing it up, but you still can't get in the end zone. Receivers not getting separation really, so it's just not enough execution. It's just what it was, and kind of mistakes. Bridgewater, there. So that's really what it was. Chiefs defense is rolling right now. Love the blitzes. It's back to being that Spags blitz defense, and they're heating up. They look like the worst defense in football. Now they're looking like one of the better ones maybe. So. Heating up at the right time. Offense is so dangerous, so good off the script. It does cool down a little bit. We saw that against the Cowboys as well a couple weeks ago. At the same time, they didn't really have the ball a lot. The Broncos ran the clock. They didn't have a whole lot of chances. There was some, quite 3 and outs. Like, what is this play calling at the end of the game? And kind of just taking it easy. Maybe not, because the Chiefs are kind of like, we don't want to give everything away because we're going to be a playoff team. They got to fight still to get in the playoff, but they had the game wrapped up, and they were going 3 and out. But they didn't have a whole lot of chances, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. Defense made plays. Defense made some big time plays. Big time division game would have been big for either team with the win. Chiefs come out on top, 22-9 there, and they keep on rolling. The Broncos were sort of hot before that, but it's a tough one. They're going to play the Lions, the red hot Lions next week. You would think they'd be able to pull that one off, but you never know. That'll be it for my Week 13 takeaways here. We're back every single Monday with this. We got weekly picks, score predictions, power rankings, a lot more full NFL coverage here. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on, follow us on Twitter. There's a link down below for that. Definitely worth a follow. That's going to do it for this one, though. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.